Okay, this bugger here, I haven't really done a lot of HPA stuff. I've only really, I've fine-tuned my brother's Kythera, and I've also fit one of these into his MP7, but other than that, I haven't really done much HPA stuff, but they all work sort of the same. I know that this gun was working. I don't know how much it's been used, and I know that it had this problem, and the guys tried having the solenoid replaced. So I believe that's the new one. I could be wrong, and this could be the new one. I don't know. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. However, I'm holding that nozzle there because on lower pressure it was doing that. But if you don't hold it, it kind of works. But I'm like well over 120 PSI. And he only uses this thing as like a secondary with a short barrel, so he can't be running at like stupidly high pressures. I assume he'd only be running somewhere in like 80. So if I turn that down again, right, that's 80 PSI. It's barely doing anything. And you can see if I do this and then stop, the noise actually changes over time. So I don't know if it's going to be a solenoid issue. It seems like the electronics are okay. I have seen one thing online where these might need to be in a different setting to run properly, so I might have to look more into that to see if that's in the right setting. And maybe I'll just end up pulling all this front apart and see if there's a busted seal or something. Because that's, yeah, not ideal. Not ideal at all. I guess we shall see what the hell is going on inside of this thing. Yeah. His wiring is not the prettiest, and I've just seen that that fellow there's got exposed power wire. All these fellas here are all being tugged on quite a bit. That wire is not very pretty. I get that it doesn't have a lot of room in this grip, but it's kind of been like forced in there looking at it all. People enforcing wires. Some of the reason why this is all being smushed into there is because he's running this like a pistol kind of. He's just got this little plate on here, which is also not holding up very nicely. So I might find a washer to go over the end of that for him, so it doesn't destroy itself. Yeah, I'm gonna time lapse it up to disassemble. Right, here is something that I think is really silly. Unless your bushings in your gearbox casing, when you build an HPA gun, unless they are like absolutely fucking solid and completely stuck in there, why would you risk them coming out with the tiniest little knocks? That's not wanting to come free because the line's behind it. But look, just two little knocks there. That one I can basically push out by hand. Like, vibrations over time could make that loose. And then guess what? You got loose bushings inside your gearbox that are conductive. And if they manage to touch things on your board that don't want to be touched, depending on the board you've got, it could short stuff out. Like, just knock the bushings out. It's not that hard. I don't understand why people just leave that sort of shit in there, eh? Like, it makes no sense to me. Whatever. I don't know where my shorter screwdriver is, so I'm going to use the long one. Yeah, oh well, back to laps. Okay, I'm going to cut this and come back when I have found something. I'm going to just visually spend some more time and trace where all these air circuits are going to see if I can figure out if it's just these O-rings that maybe need replacing, because they do look quite nasty, some of them. These solenoids are both clicking and not doing anything, which tells me they click and then the air pressure allows them to move. But I will just visually go through everything here and just see if I can tell where the air is meant to go and how it's not going. So I'll be back. Righty-ho, I am back again. It's raining outside and this garage is not insulated, so it might be a little bit noisy. I think this thing was just a bit dirty and needed a clean. And I'm pretty sure it was mostly just bad seals in the solenoid area. Could have been dirty seals in the front too, but what I did with these solenoids is that little cap's just loose. It doesn't seem to matter your polarity on this because it's just energizing this fella here. This here is all the movement you get. Can I get that even closer to the camera? You can see that. That seems to be all the movement you get on these solenoids. And I'm doing that just by plugging the battery directly onto those pins. This says it's rated for 5 volts. This is 7.4 volt. That 2.4 volts extra is not going to cook this unless you jam it on and leave it there for fucking ages. But yeah, that tiny little bit of movement, about 0.5 mil, is all that both of these solenoids had. I'm not sure which one is new and which one's not new. No idea. What I did is I completely stripped everything off of here that is rubber or anything like that. So I took all these O-rings off very carefully, all those O-rings off. I cleaned the heebie-jeebies out of all of the metal parts with like just some nice cheap brake clean and dust them off. Make sure it was all fucking mint. I did not use brake clean on the nozzle because I don't know what chemical properties nylon reacts with brake cleaner, for example. I don't know, so I didn't use it on that. I just used some IPA on the nozzle. And I very carefully cleaned all the O-rings, as there doesn't seem to be any damage on it. And I very carefully lubed all the O-rings back up, underneath and on top, and reassembled it all. And now, if I plug this battery here back in, and we're on 80 psi still. Now on 80 psi, we're actually getting a decent amount of air volume come out of there. Let's set those there and we'll watch them go. Whoa, look at that! Look at that, fucking mint! One other thing that I did change in here was a few settings. I don't think it was the settings. I think there was some loose seals in there somewhere. It was that, I can't remember, there's the other engines, the FCU and the Fusion or whatever the fuck they're called. I changed it to the other one and tweaked a couple other little settings. And yeah, she's working mint, so I shall put this back together and see what it's doing. I am going to modify some of this. I'm going to be a GC and I'm going to remove an area on something here so that it's not jamming this grip line and these wires through just the motor tower area, because that's how it was set up and it was fucking trash. I don't know why. Like, these casings people have all over the show. I don't think this gun is ever going to get turned back into a AEG. Someone's already hogged out here because they also, with the wires and the grip line running down, had them both running through here. So they've hogged that out already, which is kind of buggers the grip for motor towers. So I'm also going to hog out one of these areas. I'm just going to see which of these threads are the nicest and keep them, and then hog out the other areas to actually give room for that wiring to come through and tidy this all up. So I think I shall cut to somewhere in that point where I've got that situated. Oakley dokley. This, I'm pretty sure, is ready to reassemble now. So I've modified that. Both these screw holes were looking quite nasty. That one's a little bit better, so I took out material from that one as nicely as I could. So there's no sharp edges there. And then the corresponding spot on there, and cleaned all the fluffy bits out of everywhere that would catch anything, so nothing catches. It all fits down there nicely now. I've also set the pre-travel, because this trigger is adjustable for pre-travel, so it's ever so slightly before it hits the micro switch. And this bloody grub screw wasn't even Loctited in there either, which is a little bit silly. So I've set that, and I've modified the safety by taking a little bit off of that face so that it actually functions still and you can't shoot it and thing. I have noticed that this fella here is damaged, so he doesn't have any full auto setting, but yeah, it's fine. You know, secondary gun, semi-only kind of thing. Should be right. So I've also went ahead and found some washers out of my old bolts bin, just to stop that pulling through. It'll work. Not my favorite way of doing that, or if I was going to, I'm try and get a nicer print, but he didn't make this part, so that's fine. That will work, and the washers will stop it pulling through, because you can see that it is kind of pulling through there at the moment. So yeah, let's get to time lapse of reassembly. Woo! Okay, and there we have it. His nice little AR pistol. The chrono results was ever so slightly above 80, maybe like 81, 82 PSI. Just call it fucking 80, so you'll probably dial that lit back a little wee bit to be closer to 1 joule. But yeah, it's mint now. Hell yeah. I just needed a good service of anything. All done. Fancy fucking 6 shooter motherfuckers.